finally, Hector, did you sleep last night? You look tired. You went out or something? I'm tired because I'm just getting off the range, I have to run home to come, be ready for this. I'm so excited. And a lot of your people from Guyana have been on my other page because I advertise it on my other page as well, on my Debbie A. Durant page. And the Guyanese are really excited to have you. So I'm excited about that too. So Guyana is my new favorite place. I need to visit there. Oh gosh. Yeah, the Guyanese, and Guyana, I guess, is going to be my adopted home. They've been showing me so much love. Um, so welcome, 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 welcome to the Debbie Durang dialogue. So when you talk to me nice today, and talk about the things then. So as you know, my dialogue, well, it's not just about immigrants, but at the moment, that's my focus. I choose to talk with immigrants who are doing their thing because it gives hope to other immigrants here who maybe feel, bless you, who maybe feel that somehow, they're not going to get past the struggles that they're going through, or their burden is so heavy. But it's nice for them to talk to people, or hear from people, I should say, who have had ups and downs, did it, still doing it, offer a word of advice, So I want to start with, I know you're born in Guyana. You're a man of many hats, which I will talk about in a little bit. People, this man that you see sit right here, and wear about 10 or 15 different hats, and when I say that, that's why they say looks can be really deceiving. This man is a decorated Army veteran without what kind of hearts again? You tell them, please.
hmm the Purple Heart,
Hmm.
the Bronze Star, the Legion of Merit, and a couple more things that, you know, just a
Too
couple
much to
more things.
name.
Yes.
This man also has two master's degree, a doctorate degree. He's a party promoter in New York City, and he's a real estate investor. So that's why I say he wears many hats, and he wears them very modestly from what I can see. you know um Sometimes that's why it's hard for us to look at somebody and judge them, because somebody in the party scene might see him and say that's what he is, but there's more to him than meets the eye. Now, Hector, um tell us about, when you came to the United States, and what was that journey like for you, and how long ago was that?
Well, I immigrated to the United States of America in September of 1983. It was myself, my mom, and my two sisters. And I think it was September
You even
25th,
remember the date?
1983. Yeah,
Jesus.
September 25th, 1983. I want to say it was a Sunday. It was a Sunday that we came here. And when 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 we when the plane landed and we came through, immigration and all that good stuff,
Mhm.
I remember my mom saying, "Guys, this is it. Either we're gonna make it or break it, but this is our home. This is our life from now on. There's no going back. So we're gonna have to make it." Um,
How old were you, if you don't mind me asking, at that point? Were you a little boy, teenager? How about that?
I was 13 years old.
Okay, so you were pretty young. Okay.
Yes.
So when your mom said that to you, what went through your mind at that time? Because to me, you remember the dates and what was said was so specific. So it obviously had an effect on you. What was going through your mind when your mom said that?
Well, you know, when I was a kid growing up in Guyana, we used to have a variety show on Wednesday nights they used to play like music from the United States, and one of the songs that they would play was "New York, New York" by Frank Sinatra, and it says, "If I can make it there, then I can make it
Yeah.
anywhere." So, I was thinking, okay, this is it. We don't have any other choice. This is where we're gonna be, and that's it. And all I was thinking about was, because in Guyana we didn't get cereal and stuff like that, like how everyone else got. So all I could think about was getting to my aunt's house so I can get some milk and cereal. That's all I was thinking about. Just get out of the airport and go get some milk and cereal. That was it.
So that was what's on your mind when you first landed.
Yeah.
So, when you got here, how was it? I would say after you passed 18, what happened in your life, or where did you go from there? Because a lot of people I spoke to kind of come here as adults. So you had a little journey to adulthood.
Yeah, but uh, as a teenager growing up, you went through the typical teenager things, getting in trouble, doing things you ain't got no business doing, mixing with people you ain't got no business mixing with, being at the wrong place at the wrong time. So I went through those phases. But the one thing that kept me steady was when I got to the United States this Sunday, by the Thursday I had a job. I had my job. I was working at Walgreens grocery store packing groceries. So
This is at 13.
at 13, yeah.
Okay.
And because I went in there one day with my uncle Lamont, and I saw the guys working there. They were making money. So I asked one of the guys. I said, "Hey, how much money they pay out here?" He said, "They don't pay us. We get paid tips." And he said, "You can make about $60, $70 a day here." So I went to my uncle Lamont, who was my auntie Barbara's husband, and I said, "Uncle Lamont, I wanna work here." He said, "Well, if you keep your grades up, I'll let you work here." He was like my father figure.
Okay.
So he said, if you and to him, grades were all that mattered. He didn't
Mhm.
care if you were breathing, if you had a broken leg, if you had a broken neck. Your grades better be all A's. So I was like, okay, no problem. So started working. I started working. I think it was a Thursday afternoon. I started working, and the money was coming in. I was shoot. At one point, I was making more money than my mother,
Oh, wow.
and and but even though I was doing that, there's always that temptation from outside. There's always, hey, you can always do better. And in that time, in the 80s, you know,
Drugs.
there was this new thing that came into Brooklyn called crack,
Hmm.
and everyone was telling you, man, you can flip this money, you can make this thousands of dollars a week and all that stuff. So I kind of fell into that train right there, and you know, was started, and then it's like, no, I'm scared, I don't want to do this. By the time I was 16, I started working at Burger King, and then I started taking a paycheck from Burger King and using that to buy cocaine and sell, you know. But then when I started seeing people getting killed and people getting sent to jail and people getting deported and stuff like that, I said, you know what? This is not for me. I don't want to do this. So I decided to really concentrate on my studies and graduated from high school, went to college for one semester, and you know, I was thinking to myself, boy, I'm not as smart as I thought I was in high school. You know, I'm gonna have to think of something else. And a friend of mine, he passed away at the beginning of last year. He was in the army, and he picked me up one morning. He's like, "Come, I'm taking you to join the army." And I was like, "No, I want to join the Marines." He said, "Well, whoever come and talk to you first when we get there, that's where you're gonna join." Unbeknownst to him, I had told the Marine recruiter that I was coming to see him. But when we got there, when we got there, the Army recruiter, he saw us first when we came in the building, and he sold us a bunch of lies. Told me that I was gonna be flying helicopters and doing all of this stuff, and if I joined the army. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go join the army. So right there and then, I decided, well, this is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life
Right.
because my dad was in the Guyana Defense Force. My great uncle was in the Guyana Defense Force. He fought in World War II. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do this military thing because I figured if you go in the military, you can get promoted and all that stuff, and you don't ever have to go back to school.
So you're still trying to find a way to circumvent
Yeah,
college. Okay.
to start. Yeah, because I did not want to go to college. I
Okay.
did not. I didn't want anything to do with school. Unfortunately for me, it got to the. I didn't know that once you got in the military to get promoted to certain ranks, you had to have a college degree. You know, so so here I am thinking I got away with it. Next thing you know, once I made sergeant and I wanted to make staff sergeant, it's like, bro, you're gonna have a bachelor's degree. Next thing you know, you're gonna have a master's degree because you're competing against all these other folks. You're competing against these white boys, and they have master's degrees and all that stuff. And I'm thinking, man, I don't even want to go to school. So I got my master's degree. I know I got my bachelor's degree. I got my bachelor's degree in early childhood development because at the time that was the easiest one to get.
So
And
you went back to college whilst you were in the military. Okay.
yes, and while I was in, well, yeah, they give you time to go to school. They kind of nudge you in that direction to go to school.
Okay. Okay.
It's called self-improvement. So they always push you to go to school. That's the one thing I love about the military. They kept pushing me to go to school, so I would go. You know, I remember taking classes in some crazy places in Seoul, South Korea, um, in Bosnia, uh, wow, Maryland, North Carolina. There've been some crazy places. Germany, Fort Riley, Kansas.
So when you got the first bachelor's, why did you not stop there? Like, okay, so you're not a school person, you didn't want to go to school to begin with. Now
Hmm.
you actually have the bachelor's that you must have to at least go even be a commissioned officer or something like that. I was almost
Non-commissioned officer.
military, so that's why I know that part, bachelor's degree.
Hmm.
So why did you
Yeah.
continue after getting the bachelor's degree?
Okay. Now, what happened was I had this lady that she was like my whole world. I wanted to do everything that she wanted me to do, and she happened to be my grandmother, my maternal grandmother. And since I was a kid in Guyana, she always wanted me to become a lawyer. So, so once I told her, hey, Granny, I got my bachelor's degree and all that good stuff, she was like, what about becoming a lawyer now? I'm like, I'm like, Granny, I'm in the army. How am I gonna become a lawyer? And she said, Junior, that's what I've always dreamed for you. That's what I've always wanted for you to become a lawyer. I didn't want anything else. I don't want anything else from you. I just want you to become a lawyer. So I said, okay, Granny. So at the time I was right down the street from Waco, Texas. I was at Fort Hood, Texas. So let me start taking classes here. So I was fortunate enough that I had a time where I can work on my MBA
Hmm.
and my master's in legal studies at the same time because a lot of the courses they intertwine. So I was like, you know what? All right, let me do this just to make my grandmother happy. So that's what it was. But then when it came, then the army came up with a new standard, was saying like, well, if you once you make sergeant first class, if you want to become a master sergeant or sergeant major, you got to have a master's degree. So they kind of worked out, kind of worked itself out. Where
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm not gonna tell anyone that I was this great scholar that I came here and I had my mind set that I was gonna get this degree and that degree. Nah, I was
You
one
just
of them
kind of
people that
fell you just kind of fell
yeah,
into it, but you were actually guided without even realizing it.
yeah.
Your steps were ordered, even though you may not think that, you may not want it, you
Hmm.
know I mean, I'm spiritual, and for the viewers who are not, I understand, but I'm spiritual, so I invoke God in everything that I do. So I'm
Mm,
not saying that you have to believe what I believe, but I believe that our steps are ordered. Even the things that we do, something, even if we are not consciously thinking about it, something subconsciously, are people come in our lives to poke us and push us and prod us and things, and that's what seemed to happen to you. You had no plan,
yeah,
but the plans found you.
yeah, and it's funny because I come from a family where education is, it's it. That's all they care about. But to me, it was no big deal. But now that I have my kids, every one of my kids has got some kind of degree or something, and that I think what happened was the ambition in the family. It kind of skipped over me and went to my kids, and
But let me ask you this. Especially because I'm from New York as well. I'm from the Bronx via Jamaica. But in the 80s, especially, where drugs was the thing.
mhm.
80s, 90s, drugs was the thing. And you see a lot of Jamaicans get sent home, a lot of Trinis get sent home, a lot of Guyanese get sent home. You know, don't you think that at some point they had that, like, man, I shouldn't be doing this, but they still did it? What is the real thing that stopped you? Because it's not easy when you're making good money and easy money. It's really not easy to stop yourself. Did something happen that stopped? Did you see something that stopped you from continuing down that path? Just curious.
Um, a friend of mine that I went to school with in Guyana, his name was Gregory Isaacs, just like the singer Gregory Isaacs.
Okay.
He came up, he came up right after I came up, and he got into the fast life, and uh, he was selling drugs, and then unfortunately he started using drugs,
Okay.
and one day he got shot in an elevator. They killed him in an elevator in Brooklyn, in a building, and I thought about it with him being murdered, and then a few other people that I knew that got murdered right in that same time frame. It was
A wake up
like a three,
call.
yeah, like a 3 to 7 month window that all of this stuff happened, and I was like, man, you know, I I I, I don't want to do this. This is not beneficial to me, and I'm one of those people I'm always thinking everything that I do is how is this going to benefit me? And that at that point, that wasn't something that was going to benefit me. Like,
Okay. Yeah, because the reason why I ask you that, because I know a lot of people who got deported or got killed in the
hmm
gang, got deported, came back. Jamaicans I'm talking about,
hmm
got deported, came back, got killed, and they weren't able to pull themselves out of the game. So I knew something had to happen. Why, you missed jail,
hmm
meaning that getting some prison time and being sent back to Guyana. So you had to have seen something that made you walk away. So you just explain.
what I think the most defining moment was a conversation that I had with my auntie Audrey, and she said, one day she sat me down and she said, I think you're the smartest nephew I have. Um, so I'm gonna give you some advice. She said, do you remember when you was a kid in Guyana and you used to dream about coming to America? She said, what did you dream about doing, accomplishing when you came to America? You know, I said, well, I wanted to be rich. I want to have a nice car. I want to have a big house and all this stuff. She said, do you remember when you had to go line up at the embassy and try that long, long line just to get an appointment to go in and get
Oh
to
yeah,
get your visa?
those days, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I said, yeah. She says, so all of those things that you went through to get to come to America, when we couldn't speak to y'all because y'all didn't have no phone, so y'all had to go like 5 blocks over to somebody else's house that had a phone to talk to us. Um, she said, you went through all of that for nothing? She said, you went through all of that to come to America to be a criminal. And that's basically what she said. And that I was like, wow. And then I saw my friends, like you said, getting murdered, getting
So it's a
deported, going to jail.
combination, yeah, a combination of things. And I'm actually happy that you did pull through, and because not a lot of people are able to do that. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
for me, it grieves my heart when I see somebody come here with a green card in their hand and really choose to go sell drugs. So that's one of my pet peeves, right?
Well, you know what? What happened was, especially in that period of time, what happened was, and you would know about this. It's always the people in America that mislead the people that's wherever else, where everybody else
Mhm.
is, in Jamaica, Guyana, Trinidad, or whatever. They're so in a rush to try to impress these people with a lifestyle that they're living in America. It's like, oh yeah, in America I got this, I got that. If you walk down Flatbush Avenue, you're gonna see gold falling from the buildings, the side of the buildings, and all of this stuff. And all you got to do is sell
Yeah,
these
yeah,
drugs and do this and do
yeah.
whatever. So what happened is a lot of people, they got on that plane with that mentality that they're gonna come to America and they're going to sell drugs and make it, and whatever. And what happened is, unfortunately, a lot of those people, they didn't even survive in the United States for a good year. Okay, because they just came here with the mentality that they're going to sell drugs and get rich, especially in the 80s. I call them the roaring 80s because they kind of remind me of the roaring 20s, where you can get really rich or you can get really dead. So, and that's what was going on in that time. And a lot of people got the opportunity to come here and they just completely wasted it.
When my one of my brothers came here, one of the first things I took him to was the Allentown reunion. It's always kept in Brooklyn, someplace in Brooklyn. And I remember when he saw a lot of men pull up in BMWs, Mercedes, and stuff. He was like, "Oh my God, I can't wait to drive one of those." So I said, "This is America. You don't have to wish for anything." I say you just got to double down, work hard, and you can drive anything you want. This is not like Jamaica where there's rich and poor. I said here you just need a good job and credit. That's it.
Mhm.
And he's like, yeah, yeah, but I don't know. Like, so I can't make him do anything. I just told him that. But I see what you're saying, and especially if they hang with the wrong crowd, that will they want that lifestyle, as you say, that they see when people come from foreign and they come down, maybe take all them rent and buy all of the stuff with them, and they come back broke or something, and they give the impression that they have it going on, and they sell this facade to the people in their home country. Then the ones like you, me, that come behind, like, man, I want that life, and that fast life sometimes have never. Slow and steady. I always tell people slow and steady does it. So let me ask you a question now. So before I want to ask you this question before I lead into some other questions. So after you left the military now and you have your degrees, what happened with you? Where did you go?
After I got out of the military, I went into the auto business, selling cars,
Mhm.
and I was fortunate enough to hook up with an organization which was uh, it was a Honda dealership in Killeen, Texas, and I started working for them as an auto salesman. Then I became an auto sales manager and stuff like that. And by selling cars, I I accumulated a lot of funds. I was selling cars. I was making anywhere between 18 to $20,000 a month, and I was like, wow. So same Auntie Audrey again. She told me. She said, you you don't know how long this money is gonna last for. So you have to put it aside. You have to do something. Unfortunately, I didn't listen to my Auntie Audrey. So I figured, hey, people are always gonna be driving cars. I'm always gonna be selling cars. I'm always gonna be rich. So kept living the fancy lifestyle. buying house with two swimming pools. Yeah, house with two swimming pools. Um, just driving the most expensive cars, driving Escalades and stuff like that, and just living for today, not worrying about tomorrow, and no investing, no nothing, just blowing money 24/7. Well, at some point in time, the well is gonna go dry, and for me, it went dry right about when my mother passed away. It went dry,
My
and
condolences.
and when that happened, thanks. And when that happened, it's like I didn't have the motivation to go sell no cars or do anything like that or to lead any business or anything like that. I just didn't have that motivation. So it all went away. Just in the blink of an eye, everything that I had went away. The woman that I was with, she took the house, she took the cars, she took everything, you know. And then one morning I woke up and I was living in a Mazda Millennia. I was living in a 1985 Mazda
So you
Millennia.
went from top of the food chain to living in a car now.
Yes, I'm living in the car. I'm, but it wasn't just no regular car. It had leather seats and stuff like that. So I was still living the high life, right? I was still, I was still living, I was still living the high life. So, so there I was, you know, not knowing, not knowing what I was gonna do. Um, when I talk about the spirit in my life, it's kind of hard. But, anyways, I'm living in the car. I need to take a shower. I need to take showers and stuff like that. So a friend of mine, his name was Will Shepherd. He owned a gym, and I would go to his, I'd go use the shower at the gym, and he's like, "Man, why don't you just join the gym? And I charge you $10 a month just to work out." So I started working out at the gym, and that's when I became a bodybuilder. That's when I became real huge and was competing and stuff like that because the fact that I was homeless. But that's going further a little bit. If you rewind a little bit, before that, it was I was sick. I was very, very sick, and I didn't know it. I was having issues where my vision was getting blurry. I was peeing a lot.
Diabetes.
Yeah, and and I didn't know what I was. I thought I had the flu. So one night me being homeless like I was, I just parked my car in front of a store and went to sleep. I was like, I'm tired. I drank orange juice, which is something I shouldn't have did. I drank orange juice and I went to sleep. I woke up like 4 days later. I
What?
was in the ICU. I was in the ICU at the hospital. Um,
Who took
I
you to
had
the
nothing
who
to
took
diabetic
you
remote.
who took you? You were in your car, so who took you to the hospital, or what happened? Did you
Some someone called the fire police and they came and
oh,
they busted the windows open and took me out because I was unresponsive.
oh shit.
And
Excuse
they took me to the hospital and lady told me the nurse told me, she said, "Sir, you're very lucky." She said not too many people survive with their blood sugar ever being almost 800.
me. Oh my
She said
god.
she said you happen to be very, very fortunate. So with all that going on and stuff like that, I said, boy, you got to get your life together. So went back to work. Um, went back to my Army Reserve unit, and just tried to get myself together. Because at that time, I wasn't even thinking about succeeding or anything like that. All I was thinking about was just surviving, and not being a disappointment to my mother, my grandmother. You know, I just I think if I was just fly under the radar, no one would notice me, and you know, and I'll be okay. All the dreams and aspirations that they had for me, maybe I wasn't good enough to live up to that, and I was okay with that. Okay, but you see what happens? That's what happened with people when you accept mediocrity in your life. You live a mediocre life. And what I was doing is I was accepting mediocrity. I was like, you know what? I just want to make it from day to day. I just want to survive and just go on about my life. And then one day
Did
I
you?
ran
I
into,
have a question. Did you have any children at this point?
yes, I had my oldest daughter, Allison,
I may have this
and I
because
had my
this
son,
one.
DeAndre.
Okay, yeah. So you had
And
children. Okay.
yeah, I had kids, and I mean, I was taking care of them. You got to pay your child support and all that stuff. I was making sure I take care of them, but it wasn't like I was really doing anything to provide for them in the future. I was just doing barely enough to provide for them in the present, but nothing in the future. And like I said, I was accepting a mediocre life. I was fine with that. And then, but sometimes people come into your life and change it. I met a man from Guyana. His name was James Ragnott, and he was a mortgage broker, and um, he said, "I'm gonna teach you the mortgage business." Now he's Indian and he's from Guyana. Now, I don't want to sound bad, but when you hear Indian from Guyana, right away you thinking crook, right? So, so, but I went, I was like, okay, man, my life can't get any worse than it is right now. So let's let's see what's going on. He says at that time in Killeen, Texas, everyone the craze that was purchasing four-family homes and fourplexes,
Hmm.
and he said we're gonna get your credit good enough to where, let's say, we can buy you can buy a fourplex. I was like, okay, let me try that. Got my credit good enough to buy a fourplex, and then like 2 days before I was to sign for the fourplex, he called me in his bedroom because his office, his bedroom, everything was the same place. He called me in the bedroom. He said, "I got to talk to you." So I'm thinking he can right tell me, "Hey man, it didn't work. You're not gonna get this. You're not gonna get the fourplex." He goes, "Listen, you can't tell nobody about this, but but you ain't getting one fourplex. You getting five fourplex." I'm looking around now. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. He says yes, because what I did was I got you approved for five different loans, and I'm working the paperwork and all that stuff. And you're gonna go to this title company. You're gonna sign it. You're gonna go to this title company. This man had me traveling all the way from Waco to Killeen to Austin, Texas, just to sign for these fourplexes. So about he started on a Thursday. By the Saturday morning, I went from being homeless. I went from being homeless because I was still living in the car and stuff like that. I went from being homeless to owning five multifamily properties in Killeen, Texas.
Because I know you own a couple of properties. Well, a whole like a block. I
Uh,
remember because I
yeah,
see.
that's a different that was a different project for later
Right.
on. That was
That's
done the
right. Yeah.
right way. That was done the complete right way. That was last year. But in the beginning, there was there's a lot of things that can't say too much just in case
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
from
I
the
know.
FBI
I
might be
know.
watching. But that's what we did. And once I got into that frame of mind, and I started doing those things, and I had those responsibilities of managing my properties and stuff like that. And I decided to go and finish up school, and you know things started turning around for me. And like I said, once I got that taste of success, I was like, well, okay, I want to do more. So what I did was I always made it my goal that every year I was going to purchase a new property. So, so that's what I started working
So
towards every
hold
single
on. So
year.
hold on. Let me remind the viewers of something. So you went from homeless, almost
Hmm.
dying,
Hmm.
pretty much at the bottom of the barrel, So
No, I
now you
wasn't. I wasn't at the bottom of the barrel. I was under the barrel.
under the,
I was under the barrel.
almost dying under the barrel, and here you are now. Somebody gave you an opportunity and you ran with it.
Yeah, I did. No, has there been times that I screwed, I almost lost that opportunity? Yes, because there was one point where to pay your mortgage, you gotta have tenants
Hmm.
paying you rent, and there was a time where I didn't have tenants paying rent, so I was behind on my mortgages. So you own five fourplexes, and three of them are in foreclosure. You know, so I went through those phases there. But going through those phases taught me the business.
Okay.
It taught me what I was doing wrong and what I had to do right. So once I learned doing the right things, I picked up from there, and it's been pretty well,
Since
ever since then.
so at this point, um, everybody defines success as something different. What do you define success as? What what does success means to you? When if you look at yourself and you say, I'm successful. And sometimes I know we're our own worst critics, right?
Hmm.
And because we don't achieve what is it that we exactly want, we tend to not look on the stuff that we do have, right?
Hmm.
So let's not be that person that, okay, you know what, I want $1 million next year or $2 million next year, and because I don't have it, I'm not successful. So let's look at what you have done so far in your life. What in overall, what do you define as success, or what
You
is
know,
it?
I'm gonna run around in a circle to get to the main point here. When I was in the military, I always had bosses telling me what to do. Right? When I got into the auto business,
Hold on,
even as
hold on 1 second. There's a Jack. Oh, okay, she's gone. There's this
yeah,
Jacqueline Thomas said she wanted to join the live. I wanted to know, do you know Jacqueline Thomas?
no,
Okay, all right, because
yeah,
I don't want anybody to come out here. It's what you, yeah,
no,
continue.
yeah, and it might be somebody I would try to support too. So, no, so right now,
All right, no, continue now.
yeah.
What is
So,
success?
so for me, like I said, I always had people telling me what to do. When you're in the military, there's always somebody
Yeah,
telling you
me
what
too.
to do. When you get into the auto business, there's always somebody telling you what to do. Even when you become a manager, there's an owner that's telling you what to do, right? So for for me, success is freedom.
Kathy said you have her cracking up at work, but continue.
Yeah, you know, for 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 success for me, success is freedom for me.
Freedom.
Okay, being able to do what I want when I feel like, how I want to, as long as I'm not breaking the law, that is success for me. Because success is something that's infinite. You could chase success, and you can chase money. Or I want to be rich. I want to have $1 million. I want to have this big house. I want to have this fancy car. I want to do this. I want to do that. And it's always a chase. You always chasing those
Hi,
goals. Okay,
Lisa. I'm
instead of yeah, but instead of you putting yourself in a situation where you have the freedoms to go and come and do as you please. I'm 52 years old. I've been retired since I was 45 years old because I was fortunate enough to be in a situation where I didn't have to get up in the morning, go punch a clock, have a boss tell me what to do, have somebody telling me, oh, no, you can't go home at 5 o'clock today. You got to stay till 7. Or, yeah, you got to show up for work early tomorrow. You know,
so success
whatever that
for
was,
you is freedom, is more than
it's,
anything else, is
it's
freedom.
complete freedom. Because you can have all the money in the world, Debbie. You can have all the money in the world. But if you got to answer to somebody else, and other people got to dictate what you do with your life and with your time, all right? You you don't have it. I remember I was a I was a top
And
car salesman.
he has luxuries with you. That success
It
is for
is. Yes, yes, Hazel, it is. I remember, I was running a car dealership, selling 150 cars a month, making these guys millions of dollars, and I was taking home like $25,000 a month, which ain't no little bit of money. But then when my grandmother died, they didn't want me to go to my grandmother's funeral.
oh, they didn't want you to go to your grandmother's
Yeah, they
funeral.
didn't want me to leave to go from Texas to New York to New Jersey for my grandmother's funeral. So how successful was I?
Gotcha. See what you're saying. I was gonna ask you to is there anyone that you wanted to shout out, but you did because some of my questions are intertwined. You kind of, and
Hmm.
I do believe that one of my things is always um shouting out or giving thanks to people who've helped you in your life. And help don't always mean financial. Help don't mean that somebody gives you something tangible.
What that
Advice is help. Showing you something is helping you. So, you've mentioned a couple of people like your auntie.
what the main person that's responsible for anything that has happened in my life is my auntie Barbara Taylor. She came to the United States of America at 16 years old. She didn't have any
Hold on, Auntie
family
Barbara
here.
Taylor. Thank you.
Yeah, she is the boss, and I remind her about it every time we speak. She came to the United States at 16 years old, didn't have any family, didn't have any friends or anything, and she used to sleep in the lobbies of buildings. She used to work. She said, Junior, I did everything in this country except anything illegal to try to make sure that I got myself to the point where I am right now to take care of my family back home and to get my family up here. So this poor lady, and she's only like 5 feet 2 inches tall. She she worked. She got her degree. She got a degree from Pace University. She became a certified public accountant, and she worked all the way up to vice president of auditing for Credit Suisse Bank. And because of her sacrifices, she was able to bring my grandmother here, her 10 brothers and sisters, and like 57 nieces and nephews that she brought up to America
From Guyana.
because from
Shout
Guyana
out.
because of her
Shout out to
sacrifices.
Auntie
Yeah.
Barbara. Awesome.
And 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 I always, and now that I look at myself, now that my mother's gone, my grandmother's gone, everything that I do, I'm always thinking, is Auntie Barbara going to approve of this? Because I always want to please her because I don't think I did a real good job of pleasing my grandmother and my mother. So my Auntie Barbara, I'm very, 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 very conscious of what I'm doing now in life because I'm like, okay, at least I got to make her proud because she sacrificed so much for me to come to this country. So I have to make my Auntie Barbara proud. And it's,
And if this world could have more Auntie Barbaras, and when I say that, let me tell you what I mean. Not a lot of people, when they come here, they turn back, help their families back home. They come, they spit on the stone, and they throw it behind them. You know,
hmm
I really appreciate, as somebody who does immigration work for people. One of the greatest feeling for me when I see a male or a female comes to me and said, "Hey, I would like to send for my 4 children, or I'd like to send for my wife and kids." Because
hmm
you got an opportunity and you're turning back and helping others. Because when you change one person's life, you're changing generations. You know what I'm saying? It's
hmm
not just that person's life that you're changing. So Auntie Barbara took you from Guyana, help your parents to come, and you came along. Now you come, set a foundation to give your kids a better life, and then your grandkids will have a better life because of the stone, well, from Auntie Barbara, coming up. So, I really want to take my hats off for Auntie Barbara for 2 reasons: for bringing you guys here and for instilling certain values in you.
Well, and and when you get your kids, you have to remind your kids of where you came from.
Hmm.
Okay, like my 3 year old, soon to be 4 years old next week.
What you
All
doing
she
with such a
talks
little
about,
baby? What are you doing with such a little baby, Hector? I'm only kidding. Go ahead.
baby, she a grown woman. But 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 anyways, I instill in her mind about Auntie Barbara. So when you speak to her, she's only 3 years old, but she can tell you Auntie Barbara did to get her family to America all those years ago.
Oh wow.
Because I want her to understand the sacrifices that was made for her to be able to live the kind of lifestyle that she lives now. You know, and I'm not boasting or anything like that, but my kids live a very opulent lifestyle,
There's nothing
and that is
to you. There's
because
nothing to apologize for. You work hard. You make sacrifices.
exactly,
Your kids can have it. There's nothing for you to dumb down.
yeah, but they have to know where it came from, because I don't ever want them to take it for granted. So they will have to know, okay, somebody somebody did a lot of heavy lifting along the way for you, for you to get to where you're at right now. You just didn't just wake up and live in this nice house and going to all these nice private schools and wearing all these nice clothes just like that. Somebody had to do the lifting, and you have to appreciate that person, and you have to know that all of this can be taken away from you just
In a
like that.
heartbeat. Yep.
Yeah. So,
What would
but
be was there ever a time you ever think of giving up? Like things feel like it's not going anywhere. Was there ever a period where you feel like giving up? And when I say give up, I'm not talking about like suicide or anything like that. I'm just talking about like, man, I can't do this. Did you ever have you ever been through that phase?
every single day,
Yeah. So, because they're your
e-
own worst critic.
everything,
Like,
every single day, because if because and that's not good, but because sometimes we are so impatient, and we're so impatient with ourselves, we're so impatient with the people around us, we're so impatient with the systems that are set up around us, that if we don't get what we want, instant gratification right away, we get pissed off. Man, I'm tired of this. I don't want to do this no more. Man, I don't want to do this. I want, you know what I'm saying? And you just want to give up. But then you go through that phase for like 5 minutes,
and then yeah, then you bounce back.
right?
Like, okay,
And then you look at what you've accomplished so far and the other things that you have in the pipeline, and you think to yourself, okay, you idiot, if you give up, then what? Okay, if you given up, no, if I'd given up 20 years ago, I won't I won't own, you know, I have 17 apartment buildings right now. If I'd given up, I wouldn't have none of those.
and you wouldn't be able to have that freedom that you
I wouldn't
have.
have the freedom.
Right.
If I'd given up, somebody would I
So
would have been I would have been ironing my clothes to go to work tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
uh,
So, but you think about it, giving up all the time, but we all do think about giving up. You can think about it all you want,
are you going
okay?
to give up? Yeah.
Just I think about robbing the bank a couple blocks away from me every day, but that doesn't mean I want to rob the bank, right? But you can think about it all you
And
want.
so is suicide. Sometimes things are so bad you feel like, oh my God, I'm better off dead. But do you have the guts to kill yourself? Or are you just gonna lick your wounds and get back on the horse and go ahead and do your thing?
Well, as someone that suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder, and then has to go to a lot of counseling because of issues from military service.
Hmm.
I deal with that on a daily basis. I really do. And there were times when it comes to that where I was like, okay, maybe I can just end it and just get over it or whatever. And then you think about who's going to explain to my kids,
That's always
you
the
know?
anchor,
Yeah.
the children.
Who's going to explain to my kids, and then you think about, all the things that you wanted to do that you haven't done yet. And then you think but look at all these women that never got a chance to meet me. If I kill
Oh
myself, they ain't gonna never get a chance to
my
meet me.
gosh.
so,
Well,
so you know,
la- ladies, this is Mr. Guyana for you. So let me ask you a question, Hector. If you had to live your life over, is there anything that you would have done differently or change? Or you'd have taken all the good, all the bad with the good? Or is there a point you say, you know what, I would have done this differently had I known what I know now?
I would have listened to my mother more. I would have listened to her way more, and I would have shown her a little bit more respect. Not like I didn't show my mother respect, but I should have given her the respect of knowing that as a parent, her only concern was me. And as kids, we tend to, because I see it with my kids now, we tend to think that our parents are just trying to be a pain in the ass,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just trying to make life difficult for us. But now I sit back and I think about it. Boy, if I listened to every single thing that my mother told me, man, I would have been a way better person. And it's not so much about accomplishing things in life, but just being a person. If, if I listened to mommy, I would have been so much better of a person.
Personal. Okay,
You know.
gotcha. I
So
think
that's
I think I
everything I've done in my life. That's the one thing
think that
that
you
I
would have
would change.
changed.
Yes.
Um, what is the biggest sacrifice you had to make to be where you are today? What is the thing that you said you made? You would say that that's the biggest thing that I had to sacrifice, good or bad, to be where you are today.
I think one of the biggest sacrifice. I don't know if people would consider it a sacrifice, but for me, was taking myself away from people. Yes,
That time when you were living the mediocre life.
yeah,
Okay.
just take myself away from people and just on me. All right, just concentrate on me and my kids because I'm one of those dads. You know, they say they talk about deadbeat dads and whatever. I I couldn't be a deadbeat dad. My kids are the focal point of my life. So it got to the point where I couldn't have other people around me or be hanging out or doing any of these things because I was broke. And even though I was broke, I had to take care of my kids. So what did I do? I wore the same underwear for like 5 years straight, underwear with holes in them, socks with holes in them, sleeping on the floor, doing whatever because
Hold, hold on
I
one
had to take
second.
care of my
Hector, hold
kids.
on one second. Hold on. I have somebody, I know this person. I know, so I know it's not one of your
Mm.
baby moms. See, I'm not sure. Is Andrea?
Hey,
Hi, you asked to join the live. This is Hector. She's one of my upcoming guests as well that I'll be speaking with.
Hmm.
Are you
I'm always checking it. I missed the start, so I'm glad I'm checking and I'll watch the later
version?
recording, but I want to make sure I'm in.
Okay, okay. So no, so this is Hector's day. So I'm because she's gonna be one of my guests, and she had sent me a request a while ago. So, but you're good, Andrea. So, I'm wrapping up with Hector and people. Andrea Barnes will be one of my upcoming guests. So we'll talk again, Andrea. All
All right.
right, darling. Yes, sorry about
Yeah,
that.
that's okay.
But I know she deal with
So, but like I
psychology,
said,
So
mhm,
oh
what
my gosh.
my sacrifices were for my kids. And that's the best sacrifice I've ever made. Um, because what I learned is as a man, if you if you put your time and your energy into your kids and taking care of your kids, everything else on the outside falls into place. All right.
Wait. Say
And
that.
look at it this way,
Say
Debbie.
that again for the men who are listening. Say that again.
If you put your time and your energy and your sacrifices into taking care of your kids, even if you and the mothers are not together, if you put that into your kids, everything else falls into place for you. And and I'm a living example of that because all I was concerned about is my kids. To me, nothing else exists in this world other than my kids. I could care less about anything. Car, house, whatever, I don't care. As long as my kids are taken care of, as long as I'm spending time with my kids, that's all that matters. And what happened was, as I kept spending time with my kids, and we doing this together, we doing that. I'm, giving them whatever they want, which is not a good thing, but I do give them whatever they want. And then you look up one day and you notice that everything else around you is just falling into place.
How many
That's
children
why
do you have? If you don't mind me asking.
four,
Four. Okay.
four kids. So as you know, that's why you see every time I go to purchase a property, you're gonna see my daughter Lenija. She's always there with me.
Yes, I see it. I
Every
mean, I'm friends with him on social media, so I'm all up in his school day.
yeah, yeah. So she's always there with me because it's like I realized the more time that I spent being the best that I could be to her, is the easier my life became, the more successful I became. Trust me, that's how it works. So every time I do something, she's there with me, you know, and and I had, and and when kids have their parents around and they're spending time with them and they're pushing them, your kids become successful too. You know, like I have a daughter that's a registered nurse. I have a son that's about to be an assistant principal at a high school, one of the biggest high schools in Texas. Lenige is about to graduate next week with her degree, high school diploma, and her associate's degree. And
The
my
baby.
the 3-year-old, she calls me Hector. So
I see
that's
it with
you
her
know that's
online all
that's
the time.
so
But
but if you the sacrifice for your kids, put your kids before you put anything else in your life. If you have kids, push your kids real hard, and everything else will fall into place.
okay. Those I'm gonna let my editor cut some of what you just said out and put it, for my promotion of your of this video. Last but not least, well, not last, because I have one more question for you. I also know that you're a party promoter. How did you get into that business? And I know you have a show coming up with Ghosts. Is that
Okay.
that's in July, right?
Yeah, July 3rd.
Yeah.
Uh,
So how did you get into party promoting? Because you're already doing all the other stuff. How did that become a part of you?
uh, that started back in 1989. I was in Brooklyn, and my friends, everyone was keeping parties, and they used to be at Starlight Ballroom or Biltmore Ballroom, and those big name places back in the day. And one time, I was like, I wonder if I can try this thing here. And everyone was like, try it, try it. And I was like, man, but I was only 18 years old. There ain't nobody gonna come to my party. They was like, try it. Let's see what happens. It's not like you're gonna lose money. You're selling drugs. You don't need, you're not gonna lose anything. So I did it, and it was like vastly successful. I walked away from that party with like $30,000 in my pocket.
Okay, so that's what
Like,
sent you down that road. Okay, okay.
but after that, I didn't keep no more parties until for years afterwards until I bought a club. And I bought a club in Killeen, Texas. Um, it was called Mr. DJ's, and I purchased that club. That's when I got back into it, and I worked for a little bit until the police came and shot a kid in front of the club.
Oh wow.
And his parents, um, his parents didn't sue the police; they sued me
Oh wow.
because they said my establishment served an underage um, person alcohol. So they sued the police, the Killeen Police Department. They sued me. So I went straight into this thing called bankruptcy.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So, but when I came back to New York, I was like, just dabble in the promoting thing, like maybe like once a year, once every 2 years or whatever, because I can't do the every 3 4 months thing. I don't have the energy for that.
Okay.
So once a
And
year. So
yeah,
this is my
party party promotion and stuff takes a lot because you got to put a lot and be there and do all that kind of stuff. So
you got to be around people that you don't
be
necessarily want to
around,
be
yeah.
around.
Uh,
Yeah,
I know the business. Work with a couple of promoters, so
yeah.
I don't keep parties, but I work with promoters, so I know.
Hmm.
So last but not least, what is your word of advice that you would give to immigrants or people listening in terms of what are some of the things that you learned that you would part ways with? Things that you learned and you say, hey, this is what you could do, or things that you've learned or mistakes that you've made. What are some of your parting words for anyone that's listening?
What my advice is actually a question, and it's the same question that my auntie Audrey asked me. What did you come
Why
to
did
America for? What did you come here for? Okay. If you wanted to be a waste, if you wanted to be a loser,
you
all right, you could have
stay in your
stayed where
country?
you came from.
Hmm.
You can stay there. The planes that go there every day. Okay. You can go back home. If you want to be a loser, there's ample opportunity there. All right. Now there are people there that are waiting, they're begging to get a chance
To
to come
come.
here. They would do anything to get here, to take your spot. So my whole advice to them is this: remember why you came here, and then work your ass off. Work your ass off. I've seen immigrants in this country that work 3 4 jobs.
Hmm.
My mom came to this country. Like I said, we came here on a Sunday. By the following Friday, my jobs, 2 full-time jobs my mom worked. Okay, because my mom didn't come to America to play. All right. If you this country here, there's enough opportunity that you can accomplish
Everybody.
anything.
Yeah.
Right? You can, no matter what. I can take you to Killeen, Texas. I can take you to Houston, Texas, where Jamaicans and Guyanese and Barbadians and all that stuff that came from their country as nobodies. Nobody, they have nothing. Okay? I can take you stand up in front of a 7 bedroom mansion right now that they live in. All right? These are people that came to America with nothing. When they got here and they decided, you know what? I think I'm gonna make something of myself. All right. So it's all about having
Vision.
ambition. You know that thing that they don't sell at the grocery store. You gotta have it, right? And if you have ambition, you have that drive, and you plug away. You keep plugging away. All right. Don't let these people that you see living in these inner cities like Baltimore and New York and these places that have wasted the time that they've had in America, all right, because they've accepted mediocrity. All right. You didn't come to America to be mediocre. You came to America to make something of yourself. You came to America to be successful. All right. So if you got to work 2 jobs, if you got to go to school at night to get a degree, if you got to wake up early in the morning so you can go and work that extra job before you go to your regular job, whatever it is that you're doing, okay, keep going forward. You got to push yourself. All right. Because if you don't, you always gonna have a boss. You always gonna have somebody tell you when to clock in or when to clock out. You're always gonna tell somebody telling you when you can leave to go visit your family back in Jamaica and Guyana or whatever. You always going off of what somebody else is telling you to do. All right. But some of us, we're happy with it. We're contented with it because you know why? Every 2 weeks we can put on some nice clothes and go home and show off on our family back home in Jamaica or whatever. And we're content with that.
And
We're
not everybody's
very
a
content with
leader.
that.
Some people want to be led. I learned that.
Yeah,
So
you want to be you can want to be led, and you know what you know what's gonna happen is they're gonna keep leading you and leading you, and one day they're gonna retire rich, and you still gonna be 80 years old working
I have
to pay your
work,
bills.
yeah, because you can't retire. Well,
Exactly.
Hector, it was such a pleasure speaking with you. And I mean, I know a lot about you, but I've learned a lot about you throughout this. And, I must say I'm impressed. And I've never seen the softer side of you. And
South side?
yes,
Where's the South?
when you talk about your aunt and your mom, I've seen that little pink fluffy side of you come up. At one point, I was going to ask you if you needed a moment.
Well, because you know why? Because one thing that I have to give a shout out to, one set of people that I have to give a shout out to, immigrant women. All right. If it wasn't for immigrant women, all right, immigrants would be looked at a whole lot less and a whole lot worse than they're looked at right now, because it's immigrant women that hold us up. They're the ones that come here to work at 2, 3 jobs. They're the ones that take care of their kids, take care of their families, take care of their husbands. They're the ones that do all the work. They do the heavy lifting. All right. So when I talk about my auntie Audrey, about my auntie Barbara, my grandmother, and my mother came to this country. She was in this country for 17 years. 17 years my mom was in this country. She never took one day of vacation.
Oh,
Not,
wow.
not one day's vacation. When she died, she owned 4 houses in America. She died at 52 years old. You know what I'm saying? But she had a dream. She had a dream because she remembered when we were living in Guyana, when we didn't have no lights. We didn't have no water. You know, we every day we had to go buy food from the market because we didn't have a refrigerator to keep food in. You know, her son had to wear her shoes. Her son had to wear her shoes to go to school. Her police shoes, because she's a police. Her son had to wear her police shoes to go to school because there were no other shoes. So all of those things resonated in her mind that when she came to America, she said, you know what? I'm going to do something about this. So, like I said, it's the immigrant women, like my mom, my auntie Barbara, my granny, my auntie Audrey, my auntie Sarah, those people that I looked up to. I looked up to them and I worshiped them, and I loved them so much because of, of, of who they were and what they were doing. Now, did I agree with everything they were doing at that time? No, I didn't. But now that I have matured and I'm into my gray hair years now, I realize like, damn, every damn thing these people said was right.
You see it. And Sindrine Harris, she said, thanks for acknowledging women and the sacrifices they made. Yeah, and hats off, because
They do.
not many men realize, because a man can get up and just walk away from the children. They don't know how the children eat, sleep, but the mother is always left with the child a lot of the times. Maybe not in your situation. So, and we don't walk, we don't get to really, well, the good mothers don't get to walk away. We're gonna still struggle.
No.
Yeah. So thank you for acknowledging the strong women in your life, and to me, those seem to be the anchor for you and the things. Auntie Barbara, and shout out to your moms. And there was somebody else in Guyana. Now you're gonna have me saying Guyana, Jamaican, I say Guyana.
Guyana.
We say Guyana. You say
Yep.
Guyana.
I've been fortunate enough to have. Let's just
Thank
put
you,
it
Angelique.
this way: if I had followed all the men in my family, followed their examples, or listened to the crap they told me, I don't know, I'd probably be begging on the subway right now.
If you follow
Okay,
the
but
men,
because
right?
yeah, but because I listened to my aunts, my sisters, and you know what? Believe it or not, even my daughters, because I listen to them, and because they come from a different angle. Okay, a man is gonna come to you with the angle of trying to compete with you. A woman is gonna come to you from the angle of trying to nurture you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that's and if you
Oh
listen
my
to a
God, I got
woman,
some good
like I
talking
said,
points. I'm gonna make sure that I watch and I give my editor, please take this part out so I could, because I promote my guests before I have them. And
mhm,
once my videos are edited and for YouTube, I promote my stuff. So, so other people can get to know you and hear your story. And I'll do the same for
mhm,
you. And, once again, I feel I must visit I'm gonna say it your way, Guyana. But
Guyana,
still, like I said, Guyana as a
Guyana.
Jamaican, because the Guyanese, especially when I was promoting the show with you, being from Guyana, they showed so much love, and I think that that's going to be my adopted country.
I want to thank I want to thank
And
all my fellow Guyanese.
Kathy Green has been on since you're on, so let big up yourself, Kathy. She's tuning in
I
from Guyana.
miss Kathy. How you doing?
Shy girl
Nice,
too from
nice,
Guyana.
nice,
Big up yourself.
nice to meet you. But one more person I want to thank, and then I'm gonna get out of here. It's my grandmother, my mother, my maternal grandmother.
Island.
She came to America and she fought and she pushed my auntie Barbara to get the rest of her grandkids up here. And I just remember like my first day ever going to school and my grandmother taking me to school. Um, and I remember every day my grandmother used to pound it into me that she wanted me to be a lawyer. She said, Junior, I want you to be a lawyer. I want you to be a lawyer. And I got my master's in legal studies from Baylor University. And I just remember when I walked across that stage, all I kept thinking, when my grandmother had passed by then, I just kept thinking, Granny, I hope you happy now because this is hard. I just hope you're happy now. You need to leave me alone, you know. But
And you still
but
didn't end up working for nobody. You still ended up your
no
freedom.
no no. I am never gonna work for anybody. I refuse to. Okay, but to get to this point, and everyone that's out there can get to that point. We all can get to this point. This is the United States of America. This
Well,
is
I'm
America.
gonna have you on sharing how to go into investing. All right. So yeah.
And you know the funny thing about it, as far as investing in real estate, it's not hard. It's so
Well,
easy.
you need to share it with me. So I want to start investing in real estate.
It's a matter of fact, in 2 weeks I'm going to buy another full family
Yeah,
in
so I say
Texas.
you got to share, you got to share. And you got to
It's
share it with
easy.
the audience.
The only thing you got to do is have good credit.
That's
That's
it.
basically it. Good credit. So all y'all that don't like paying T-Mobile on time, all y'all don't like paying your credit cards on time and stuff like that, you're screwing yourselves. All right? You keep your credit up, you know, you'll be able to do stuff. But Miss Debbie, I want to thank you so much for having me on
Not
here.
a
I know we this is something we
problem.
discussed,
And thank
and
you.
and hopefully you started my WhatsApp nagging me now about until is the next time to have me on. But I'm
Thank you
more
so
than
much.
willing. I'm more than willing to share my share advice and experiences. But I'm not one of those people that's going to sugarcoat their experiences. I'm gonna tell you exactly how it went because a lot of time people sugarcoat things and they give people the impression that they had the perfect life. And no, I didn't have the perfect life. Mm-mm, there was
Yeah,
no perfect life
that's what
for me.
I'm saying. I'm gonna have you on another time, maybe giving people tidbits like a particular thing. But as
Mm,
once again, now I get to see your fluffy pink side and your softer side. Not Mr. Hardcore. It was nice, and it was nice for you to shout out to women, the women in your life who have helped you, and a lot of women here are pleased based on the comments that I'm reading as you're talking because you're looking away, but I'm reading, but I just can't answer. And people, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for being patient. And Hector, big up your nice, clean self, and thank you for talking to me nights. All right, out and over.
bye bye.
All right, darling.